Good, whatever time of day you're having. Tiny Ninja number 77, and welcome to a new part of What If Deku was Hawk Moth. Now, where we last left off, Midoriya, or Hawk Moth better said, have gone and had a little chit chat with Lemillion, otherwise known as Mirio, and Mirio realizing that Airi is right now in the care of Hawk Moth and have become his protege, at the same time getting his quirk back thanks to her seemingly evolved power, being able to return and rewind him back in time even though she did not have his or her hand on him. With that being said, and after making sure that Hawkmoth told him that even though Mirio may antagonize him and the rest of the heroes may see him as a villain, in the end, when everything is said and done, he hoped to fill the streets with people as honest and truthful as Mirio is to himself. He may have done a mistake by not saving Aerie before, but one mistake does not throw away all of his good nature. With that being said, he left, and now, in the next day, Midori wakes up in his dormitory as per usual with the rest of his classmates. They're having their breakfast and, washing their teeth and watching a bit of the news. And the news is talking about the latest development in the Hawkmoth case and the fact that his champions, the Hydras, are still doing their whole vigilantism, and Ladybug's still chasing after them like a dog chasing after its tail. After all, they're the only Hawkmoth team that still actively show themselves up all the time, and are the only people that Ladybug can really try to catch in order to find any new informations about Hawkmoth. However, so far there was no success. And then they switched the topic into one of the general course students in Midoriya's class, Hitoshi Shinso, that have been reported to be kidnapped, tortured, and brainwashed, ironically, by Hawkmoth into joining his league. And Midoriya, hearing all of those, at first he was a little surprised, but then he understood what's going on. The Hero Public Safety Commission is lying again. Even now, they are still trying to lie their way out of the hole that they have already dug themselves a little too deep. But I guess he understands where they're coming from. After all, if the public are to know and realize that a student from UA Academy, the greatest hero school in the world, have willingly joined Hawkmoth, that would certainly make them start be a bit skeptical and doubt the heroes in general. But to be told that one of the students have been kidnapped and brainwashed in order to serve Hawkmoth because he wants to poison the idea of heroism altogether, it puts Hawkmoth in a bad spotlight. And well, based on some of the reactions of his classmates that are watching with him, talking about how horrible that is and how they are sorry for, Shinso, even one of them comes up to Midoriya, puts his hand on his shoulder, and apologizes for Midoriya, knowing that him and Shinso were quite close. Midoriya just telling him that it's alright, and he knows that eventually the heroes will save Shinso. It's still certainly effective. Regardless of all of that, the entire class goes to UA for their normal classes. After a while, the cafeteria times comes around and Midoriya and Emily are talking again. After all, she's like his only friend. And so Midoriya start talking to her. And she start bringing up the idea that for some reason the entire school hates her class because apparently they're just the reason for all of the world's problem. Because apparently we asked to be kidnapped, attacked by villains multiple times, and it's just annoying, as she looks at Midoriya. And is a bit sick. Why do they have to prove that they are okay and apologize for those bunch of meatheads for things that they didn't do? And Midoriya is listening to what she's saying, and he answers her saying, sometimes people don't have any outlet for their anger. And the students of UA all have been having quite the hard time recently. I mean, just look around these halls. It's quite quieter than usual. There were a lot more students before the whole Hawkmoth thing, and before the incident in the Sport Festival. But now it's almost empty. The air is heavy, and they can only blame the people in front of them. I mean, think about it this way. If a police officer, or actually, let's say a firefighter, is going inside of a house and trying to save a child or a woman or a man and failed to save them, who do you think the family of that person would blame? Of course, they'll blame the firefighter, even though technically they are the reason why the fire even happened before. Because let's say they left the oven on, or there was an electric, you know, outlet that's been exposed and, well, starts sparking a bit of sparks that set the entire house at fire. That's technically their mistake for the death of their relative, but of course they'll blame the person in front of them because, well, they can't blame themselves, but no one wants to have the blame to themselves. And certainly they can't blame the fire now, can they? As Emily, though a bit confused by Midoriya's somewhat twisted way of thinking, she understands where he's coming from, but at the same time she still doesn't care really. They can goose screw themselves up. She's not apologizing for anything, but apparently they have to. Her entire class are thinking of a possible thing to do for the next school festival. And Midoriya said, "Really? What are you guys gonna do?" And she said, don't know. So far the ideas is like a musical dance, something like that. That one girl with earphones is great with guitars and songs, I guess. What about your class? As Midoriya said, oh, we're just gonna do a little spooky house. Haunted house thing. And Emily said, well, that's cool. And so they just continue eating. And Midoriya just continue eating with Emily, and Emily just looking down. And suddenly she speaks up saying, Midoriya, do you think Hawk Moth is just? And Midoriya suddenly stopped eating, and he looks down, and he feels a tightness in his chest. He thinks to himself about Emily. They're such close friends, and yet he feels very bad to lie to her, even now, but he knows that it's necessary. At the same time, he realizes how much her own mother lies to her, and it hurts him to lie to her as well. He feels so distant, such great distance between them, even though they're inches sitting away from each other. As he, looks at her saying, what was that? And she repeats the question, do you think Hawk Moth is just? And Midoriya looking at his food saying, I think that Hawk Moth is someone that's doing the wrong thing for the right reasons. He wants to help people, so far as I can see. I do remember the time he akumatized me, but that was because he wanted to, get back one of his champions, so at least he has loyalty to the people that work under him, I guess. Or maybe there's something else that I don't know about that, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to say here is, he's trying to do good, and he's trying to help, but at the same time, the ways he's trying to help in are a little more morally gray than what the heroes are doing. And maybe he's trying to change the way things are. After all, if he exists in the first place, then there must be something wrong with society, right? Otherwise, he wouldn't have been existing. As Emily just looks down and she thinks to herself, if everything is okay with this society, then why does he exist? That simple question that keeps her up at night. If the heroes are as heroic as they claim to be, then why does he exist? If people are happy and smiling and nothing is wrong, then why does he exist? It just bothers her so much, and she doesn't know what or how to feel about it. She doesn't even know how to feel about her mother trying to capture him all this time. And the last thing he did, taking that girl named Eri, She doesn't know what he's doing with her, but he, possibly is not doing something wrong, right? Uh, Whatever. As she looks at Midoriya saying, so you're saying he's just an anti-hero? As Midoriya said, I wouldn't say an anti-hero, nor an anti-villain, nor a villain, nor a hero. All of these, labels we put on people are just that, labels. We say to put them into a certain criteria that fits our own point of view of this world. In the end, we're all just people with different morals, ideas, and dreams, and our own perspectives that leads us to think the betterment of this world are in different directions that what someone else would think. Someone might think putting control on people and monitoring everybody is the best way to ensure peace, while someone else understand that human right is to be free, but freedom immediately returns to people that might take a wrong decision and do something bad with that freedom. It's a complicated thing that even now, I don't blame you if you are on the side of Hawk Moth or against him, because in the end there are two ideas of peace. One will gonna leave a path of destruction but eventually lead into quicker results, but the other one is a slow and decaying path towards ruin that will eventually lead to the end, but possibly a correction and rebuildment in the end as well. As he turns into Emily, and she's just looking at him with a surprised look and eyes wide open, and she said, Geez, or old geezer, how old are you again? As Midoriya said, sorry, I guess I've been reading a lot of those, more books and stuff like that. I had a lot to think about in the recent past weeks and stuff. What were we talking about again? As he chuckles nervously, and immediately Emily starts laughing, saying, I knew you were smart, but I didn't know you were this wise as well. Hell, I should be asking you more about some advices in the future, as she just flicks his forehead. And Midoriya said, well, I'm more than happy to offer my advices. And Emily said, sure. Well, see you later, Midoriya. And Midoriya said, all right. Emily goes. And with that being said, Midoriya also leaves back to his classes. And after that, the day is over. And 2 days have passed by. Eventually, the school festival is now about to start, and as his entire class are preparing the final touches for the spooky house, one of his classmates have asked Midoriya to run by the store outside of the school, real quick, to break them a few extra sheets and ropes, because apparently their old rope is a bit ruined. And so Midoriya, even though it's cutting it a little short, he can make it back in time before the show begins. So he goes to the little convenience store, and as he leaves with the ropes and the sheets inside, he bumps into somebody. A man and what seemed to be a short little lady. As before Midoriya bumps into the guy, he quickly took a back step, and both of them are standing in their paths. Midoriya looks at the guy and said, oh, sorry. And the man in front of him said, careful there, young lad. You almost spilled my Golden Tips Imperial tea. As Midoriya said, my apologies. As he said, well, regardless, nothing of harm has happened. Now, let's leave honey. As the woman said, yes, that's me, honey. As they are both start walking away, but as Midoriya is seeing them walking away, he heard them talk about Gold Tips Imperial. Oh, he remembers something about how Igor always poured him some of that tea, telling him it's quite healthy and very relaxing to the mind. As the man continued to walk away, Midoriya speaks up saying, oh yeah, this place must be a cafe. I know about Gold Tips Imperial, it's quite relaxing to the mind. And then the man suddenly stops dead in his tracks before turning around with the excitement of a toddler, putting his arms wide open and said, you're familiar with Gold Tips Imperial? You're obviously a boy of refined taste if you know about it. Always a pleasure to meet a fellow connoisseur, even though you're just a lad. As Midoriya looks at him, said, yeah, it is quite relaxing. It helps me plan out and study for my exams. As the man looks at Midoriya saying, well, of course. You also must be, that friend of yours is certainly must be running in the, hop, higher circles, right? As Midoriya looking at the man while the man thinking, saying, wait, if he's familiar with Gold Dip's Imperial, he must be from quite the quite the, no way. As Midoriya looks at him and Midoriya's looking at the man, he can feel his emotions. This guy is panicking as he said, yeah, he, we, I enjoy it. It helps me relax, of course. As he said, it must be quite difficult for a student such as yourself. I'm sure exams are all hard and all. It's very important to keep a steady mind and a well-kept train of thought. As Midoriya said, as he thinking to himself about the times he spends in his hideout, the few times, well, some shenanigans happens, such as a fight breaking out between Kota and, some other champions. They are just having a bit of an aggressive fun, or the many times that Labyrinth herself just screws up with everyone around and causes problems while he's trying to think straight. It always feels like he's the father of like a bajillion adopted, wild children, but at least sometimes he can relax knowing that there are some people who are just as mature around to keep everyone from killing each other. As Midoriya said, yeah, school is a lot of headache. As the gentleman says, well, I hope it's not that hard, and I wish you the best of luck. I must be on my way now. Oh, if you would excuse me. As the man starts walking away, and Midoriya seeing him walking away with the girl beside of him, as he can see right through him. There is something about this guy. Something about him. As Midoriya said, well, it was nice meeting you, but I'm actually going in the same direction. As he started walking by the side of the man, as the man said, oh, is that right? As Midoriya said, yeah, I'm going back to my school, UA. Me and my classmates are planning for a little event there. After all, today we're having a school festival. As Midoriya is trying to see the reaction of this guy when he said those words, and the man's emotions are going wild a bit, as he can clearly see something wrong here. As the man said, it must be quite lovely. I'm sure you've placed a lot of heart into this school festival, right? And Midoriya said, yep, we're doing a little horror house. I guess it's not the most elegant of things, but it's nice to keep yourself on your toes from time to time. A bit of excitement and a thrill doesn't hurt anybody. As the man said, why, of course. Just as much as it's important to keep your mind steady and focused. Who doesn't like a little scare? As, well, the man said, well, excuse us, me and my honey over here need to go somewhere where, gonna be late on our date, so if you would excuse me, it was nice talking to you, of course. Cheerio, lad. As the guy just takes a different turn, going into an alleyway, and Midoriya seeing him doing that, he just continue walking forward as his smile leaves his face, and suddenly he just start talking in his own mind, connecting with somebody before whistling, and then he sinks to the shadows right beneath his feet, somewhere a bit distant, as he transformed into his form Hawk Moth and does a bit of communication with somebody. And on the other hand, they hear him. Midoriya said, there is someone who's trying to sneak into UA. I want you to get rid of him. Make sure he doesn't get into UA, and for no one to figure out what's going on. The school must not realize what's happening. And so, Hawk Moth immediately detransforms and continue walking. He have already placed the situation in the hand of somebody he trusts. and so he has nothing to worry about. On the other side, with the gentleman and his, honey, they take off their outfits, and he said, "Ah, that was very close. Great thing that my years and drama drama classes have paid off quite handsomely. That boy could have never possibly figured out my identity." As Labrava said, "You were quite amazing, Gentle. Well, are we gonna continue our plan?" As he said, "Why, of course, Labrava. Now, let us commence." As him and Labrava continue walking, and maybe do a bit of hopping on his little elastic air. Eventually, they reach the area around UA with the trees, but suddenly, as the moment they put their feet on the ground, immediately Gentle is attacked by something. A needle that almost pierced his face, but it just, well, goes and scratches his cheek. As he said, "What is... how the..." And then from the needle that he just seemed to fly at him, there is a little invisible string, and then that strings explode with a dark energy that Gentle thankfully managed to jump out of the way with. Labrava in the last second, as he sees a young lad wearing what can only be described as a straitjacket, with needles wrapped around his fingers and darkness sipping from the tips of these needles, as he looks at Gentle Criminal and Labrava saying, "Now where do you two think yourself going? I will not allow you to step a foot inside that school." As Gentle looking saying, "Who are you? And why are you here?" As he said, "It's simple. I've been ordered by Hawk Moth to ensure that you two do not enter this place. And that's what I plan to do." As he said, "Hawk Moth?" And Labrava saying, "No way. The Hawk Moth?" As he said, "Yep. And I don't know why or what gives, but it's not my job to ask questions. I don't care what his plan is or what does he wish to do with you two. But he wants you captured, and I shall capture you." As Gentle saying, "Damn it, if Hawk Moth isn't involved in this, then I must defeat this individual. I can't go back on my plan now. I've already put too much soul into this. As suddenly Gentle fall on his knees, and Labrava saying, "Gentle, what's the matter with you?" As he said, what is going on? I can't." As the guy takes a few steps forward saying, "Oh yeah, well, too late for you. I already scratched you, didn't I?" As Gentle feeling his cheek, that scratch on his cheek from the needle he just threw, it's poisonous. This darkness is poisonous. It's like a virus, stripping him from his physical energy and just making him so tired. As then Labrava tried to help Gentle get up, trying to shake him to stand up, and "Come on, it can't be over here, Gentle, please stand up." But then Asylum goes quickly and stab her in the neck with the needle, immediately causing her to be paralyzed as well. As Gentle looks at the guy, barely trying to move, as the man said, "It's alright. I know Hawk Moth very well. He does not wish for you to be harmed. But I do not believe you'll come willingly, so..." As he puts his fingers together and creates a net of darkness, as he wraps it around them, before then calling in his mind, being like, "Come on now already. Where are you, Houndoom?" And then under his feet, darkness grows, and him, Gentle Criminal, and Labrava all disappear into it. After a few seconds, somebody comes up, and it's Hound Dog. The hero Hound Dog looking around as he said, as he gets a message in his earpiece being like, "Hound Dog, what's going on? Is it alright? Everything alright on your side?" As on the other side he hear, of course, the sound of ectoplasm as Hound Dog continue looking around the area, as he reports saying, "Nothing. I thought I smelled something here, but it must have been my imagination." As he said, "Very well. Just let's make sure nothing happens. If anything else is important, please report it." As Hound Dog said, "Whatever." As then he just cut the communication and continued to walk away. While on the other side, Midoriya and the rest of his classmates are continuing to prepare their little creepy spooky house. And for now, he just have a little fun time with his classmates and even Emily. Eventually he realized that Emily have signed up for the beauty pageant, and she give quite the beautiful show, of course, in her beautiful feathered peacock dress. Eventually, when the voting came around, she sadly lost to, well, Nejire Hado, but that's to be expected, though she got a few votes. One of them was, of course, from Midoriya. Eventually, they spend the rest of the day together having a bit of fun, and in the end of the school day, everybody goes their separate ways. Eventually, as Midoriya returns to his dormitory, he gets a call on his phone this time from Cyrax, reporting that Asylum have came in with the two individuals he wanted to be captured. And Midoriya said, "Great, I'll be with you shortly. Just make sure they feel comfortable." And then he turns off the phone and proceeds to take off his tie and said, "Nuru, Lightwings rise." And this is gonna leave it off, guys. Don't forget to tell me down in the comments what you think about this part and what you think gonna happen in the next part. Well, I have nothing more to say than Severed was here.